Welcome back to the Arise interview. I will just want to bring to you a breaking news that is just coming in from the Nigerian capital, Abuja, here, where we hear that the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has been removed by President Muhammad Buhari, and we have a new acting Inspector General of Police, who is DIG Usman Alkali Baba. He is now to serve as acting Inspector General of Police with immediate effect. The Minister of Police Affairs, Maigari Dingyadi, has said in a statement. He said Baba's appointment is in line with President Buhari's determination to rejig Nigeria's security architecture and ensure that the security challenges bedeviling the nation are brought to an end. And we'll move to Jordan now, where the country's main prosecutor has announced a total ban on publication of information about an apparent plot to overthrow the king. The former Crown Prince Hamzah is accused of being involved and had been placed under house arrest. The government said Hamzah was part of a seditious conspiracy to destabilize the kingdom's security. At least 16 others were arrested. The announcement came after he pledged loyalty to King Abdullah II late on Monday night. Let's take a listen.
In light of His Majesty King Abdullah II's decision to deal with the issue of His Royal Highness Prince Hamzah within the framework of the Hashemite family, His Majesty assigned this path to his uncle, His Highness Prince Al-Hassan, who in turn communicated with Prince Hamzah. Prince Hamzah stressed that he adheres to the Hashemite family approach and the path that His Majesty the King has given to Prince Al-Hassan.
Well, let's get more on this with Arise correspondent Faith. Good to have you, Faith. This is a very interesting development in the Middle East, and some people have referred to this as a domestic affair that wouldn't have any interference in how Jordan is seen by its partners, the US, UK, Israel, and all of that. What's the update on this?
So the latest that we're hearing today is the ban on any publication of any information relating to this story. Now, the announcement was made on state television, as much of the announcements about developments in the story have been made. Jordanian authorities have decided that in order to keep the investigation surrounding this alleged sort of coup attempt plot, if you will, to keep it secret, they're banning publication of any videos, any images. Now, this applies not just to TV and radio, but to social media as well. So it's not just journalists that can fall foul of this, it's the public at large. And violators are being threatened with legal action. Now, this feud has been labelled as a family affair, but there have been cracks showing in the royal family for some time now.
Yeah, I mean, right from when Hamzah was dethroned as the crown prince, there's been this tension within the family.
Exactly. So this latest dispute all started on Saturday when Prince Hamzah released this video message claiming that he was under house arrest. He said he wasn't allowed to speak to anyone, he wasn't allowed to send any social media, he was only allowed to speak to his family, he was unable to go out. And he said he wasn't, the issue that's happened is that he was holding meetings with tribal leaders.
And that's what triggered,
Exactly. So, but during these meetings, he's been holding meetings with the tribal leaders. Now, he says he wasn't directly accused of criticising the king, but the tribal leaders that he held meetings with were, and that's where this has stemmed from. But he went on to say in this video message that was released on Saturday that he's not the one responsible for the breakdown in governance, the corruption, and the incompetence for the last 15 to 20 years. He says he's not responsible for the lack of faith people have in the institutions, and that it had reached the point where no one is able to express an opinion in Jordan without being threatened or arrested.
All right. As we try to talk about this Jordanian issue, one thing that has come out is former Crown Prince Hamzah actually saying that he's not been allowed to speak. With these new restrictions, he has said that irrespective of the restrictions, he will still go ahead. Do you foresee a very bigger problem coming out of that?
So since he said he's not allowed to speak, we've actually seen him sign this letter. So there has been this big U-turn in that he's now pledged loyalty to the king. It was signed late last night, and it really, it's such a departure from the video messages, the audio message that he's been releasing, where he has maintained this defiant tone. And this is because there's been mediation between the prince and the king by their uncle. The uncle came to Hamzah's house in the royal court yesterday, and with three of the princes, three of his cousins, another brother, and they were you know, that he signed this letter. Now, in the letter itself, which I think we can show people, yes, we can.
Yeah,
now, it is in Arabic,
now.
obviously, but I'm sure some of our viewers can understand it. He said he would remain loyal to the king and Jordan's constitution. Now, this letter says that the royal family have epitomised an approach to governance based on justice, mercy, compassion, with the goal of serving the nation and its mission. And it says that the family have devoted themselves to serving the homeland and its people. And in light of the developments over the past 2 days, Hamzah is putting himself at the disposal of His Majesty the King, and says he'll remain a strident supporter of the royal family.
Of the royal family.
Now, this is a departure, though, because this is hugely unusual from what we have been hearing from him. And I think the question is, you know, is this feud over? And if so, how much pressure was applied on him by the family to make such a U-turn?
Yeah, such a U-turn. Now, let's talk about the impacts generally on the relations between Jordan and other countries. The US is a strong ally. We've seen Saudi Arabia sending its foreign minister to that country to assuage the feelings. But Israel, which shares border with Jordan, has just been quiet. Netanyahu is just there, not saying anything. We've seen this tit for tat that had been going on between King Abdullah and Netanyahu. In all of this, how do you think it will affect Jordan's foreign relations?
I think Jordan will be fine. I think Israel is the outlier here. They have received support from the majority of the Gulf Arab countries. Qatar, Bahrain, you know, Saudi Arabia that you mentioned. The US has also come out in support of the king because of this. And this is because Jordan is such a strategically stable country in what is otherwise known as a volatile region. I mean, Jordan backed the US against Islamic State. It's housing huge numbers of refugees as a result of conflicts in the region. And feuds like this are unprecedented in Jordan. This doesn't really happen in this country. This is one of the most serious political crises that Jordan has seen in decades. And he is accused, Prince Hamzah is accused of recording conversations and handing them to foreign officials in a bid to destabilise the country.
So do you think King Abdullah's throne is threatened?
I think it's a bit far-fetched to say that his throne is threatened. I think he personally feels threatened. He wouldn't have made such a drastic action if he didn't feel threatened. This is the first time that an action like this has been taken to do with a member of the royal family since he came to power. And it is important to note that Hamzah was the late king's favourite son.
Yeah, when I read that, I was
when King
I found
Hussein
that very
died,
interesting.
yeah, Hamzah was only a teenager. Had Hamzah been older, he would have succeeded. As it was, he was given the title Crown Prince as a mark of respect, but it only took 5 years. So from 99, when the king died and he was given that title, it took 5 years before the new king stripped him of it and gave it to his own son. Now, King Abdullah said that he did this to protect Hamzah, to allow him to have more freedom without the constraints of this title, but it was widely seen as a power move.
Let's talk about Hamzah himself. How popular is he as we try to round off this conversation among Jordanians?
He's very popular. He is seen as a religious person, a modest man, really very in touch with the common people of the country.
And can he turn around the economy? That's where the criticism is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, he feels like there's a lot of corruption, and so do people in the country. They do feel that. But he is very popular. He has an uncanny resemblance to his late father, and very much a man of the people, like his late father, who was absolutely beloved in Jordan. I don't think that can be understated. And because of this, people look to him.
All right, so we have 60 seconds left to go on this very interesting topic. And I just want to say that King Hussein is actually, King Abdullah, so to say, is actually, his mother is the second wife, and Hamzah's mother is the fourth wife. And all of this, has that affected relations between the former queens, and how is that affecting the relations between himself and the sisters and all of that?
So initially, Queen Noor, Hamzah's mother, who was said to be the former king's favourite wife, and Hamzah the favourite child,
very quickly,
she was initially implicated. Since then, that seems to have died down, but she is sending her prayers for a peaceful resolution to this. Wow. She is popular, he is popular. It wouldn't be too, it's unlikely they will take power, but stranger things have happened.
Very well. Thanks so much, Faith. All Arise correspondent giving us an insight into what's happening in Jordan, where we have a family intrigue there. I mean, the royal family is facing a crisis that has been described as one that's domestic, but that has an impact on the politics of that country. Well, that's it for this edition of the Arise interview. We want to thank you all for joining us. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, I'm Somna Sambo. Goodbye and thank you for watching.